Hey guys, I'm Ralph. I'm going to show you how to use some solar panels here, in the sense that I noticed that on the forums one of the guys had a solar panel set up for a mobile phone for mining Doge. So I'm going to give you an example of that one. So this is a standard solar panel. This is off of eBay. I think this was somewhere around £15. Okay, advertised as 30 watt. It isn't. But nonetheless, solar panel this size will give out a fair amount of power in good sunlight. Now these ones actually already have a USB charger on the back of them. So completely simply, I've grabbed an old phone here that quite frankly isn't any good for anything. But imagine that this was a better phone, which is presently doing the recording by the way, and you had some mining software on there. Then at that point, what you can do is simply take a USB cable, the standard one from your mobile phone charger, and just plug it straight into the phone, and there you have it. This solar panel will be charging the mobile phone, and the mobile phone will be able to use this power at the same time during the day. The idea being that when it becomes dusk and the solar panel is kicking out a useless amount of power, the mobile phone can continue on its battery. Okay, now don't forget, you'll probably need to turn the mobile phone on in the morning, etc, etc, in the sense of that if it's run out of power, well, it will just go off. So that's one simple scenario. Now, as I said, these don't belt out an awful lot of power, and it's fairly unusual for a solar panel to come with a USB charger. So what I'm going to do is put you into a more standard scenario where a solar panel will come with a solar charge controller. Now these ones are between £3 and £5. Don't go and spend £15 on one or anything like that. Once again, straight off eBay. I'll try to put that up there for you. Try to show you the front. Okay, and this is the box that they normally come in. Now the reason there are a charge controller is solar panels are about 19 volts normally. Obviously drop down from 5 volts for this particular one. 19 volt solar panel. You can't be plugging that straight into your phone in a normal panel, and you can't be rigging it up straight up to a 12 volt car battery or anything like that, because it's 19 volts. There are certain circumstances, and some purists on here no doubt that will explain something slightly different, but I'm just getting you off the ground here. Okay, so standard solar panel, what you'll normally end up with is two standard wires coming out of it. So in this case, they would need to go into the charge controller. The red, in this case, I'm putting into the positive. The black, I'm putting into the negative. Now, it's getting seriously dark outside. I've actually got a spotlight up here and all the lights on just to get enough light to show you this. Hence, the solar panel is just not belting any power out to give you anything on the solar charge controller. Now, this solar charge controller happens to have USB in it. So what we could do in this case is plug our standard mobile phone charging cable in there, plug that in there, and job's a good one. Once again, we've got our solar panel, 19 volt solar panel through our solar charge controller, dropping down to USB 5 volts and charging our mobile phone. Everything's good. Now, you might find that the solar panel doesn't actually put out enough power to be able to put a decent amount of power out of the USB socket. In that case, what you can do is simply buy another solar panel, okay, and just wire them up in parallel. So basically, what would happen, and you'll have to excuse me because I've got crocodile clips on the end of this one, which you wouldn't normally have. Same scenario, the cable in. From there, in standard fashion, what we'd actually have, we'd have a positive cable coming out the second solar panel and a negative cable coming out the second solar panel. And what we would have actually done is simply put the two positive cables together, screwed them together, and we would then just put them both together into the positive. You just have to imagine that's happening, because as I just showed you, this has got clips on the bottom. So pretending that's now in the positive. The negative, same scenario. we would unscrew our negative cable from the first scenario, from the first solar panel, take it out, wrap it together with the negative from the second solar panel, put those in as well, and then what we've done, we have two solar panels in parallel, both of them kicking 19 volts out, and it would come in as 19 volts but double the amps, so double the power into the charge controller. So now when we plugged our mobile phone in, we know that the USB is able to supply more power at the correct voltage still though into our mobile phone, and hopefully at that point the mobile phone would be able to draw enough power to run whilst actually simultaneously charging. The idea then that when it becomes dark enough, the solar panels will put out a useless amount of energy, no 5 volts won't be coming through the solar panel controller, and therefore the mobile phone would be running off its own battery at that point. Just got to check the phone, guys. Yep, still going. So, right, and there's another scenario that we can do, which is if your solar charge controller doesn't have USB. Okay, let's get all this out of the way now just to keep it clear. Just imagine that's all as it is, guys. Okay, that it's all stacked up, not that it has to be. Okay, so there we go, our solar panel into a charge controller. Now, what we could then do is, if I show you on the actual charge controllers, I don't know if you can see this, but basically we have solar panel in, positive and negative for battery here, and positive and negative for a lighting circuit. So this positive and negative to the battery, that's what we're interested in. 19 volts from the panel into here, and then once again I'm grabbing cables, guys, that I've already got for different things, so a bit of imagination required. What we would basically do is we would get a positive cable. All cables are the same, I'm just calling it positive, it's red for clarity. We'd get a cable, we'd plug it into positive. Okay, so we're actually putting it in that one there with the plus on it. And then what we're doing, we are getting a negative cable. Obviously it would be stripped normally on the end, bit of imagination. That is going into the negative side. So two cables, one into positive, one into negative. In this case, the positive is red, the negative is black. So we're imagining in this case that standard solar panel, 19 volt, going into the 12 volt solar charge controller, doesn't have USB, neither does the USB panel. So we're stuck with a 12 volt output. What can we do with that? Well, simply, we can get a cigarette lighter USB adapter, standard one for a car, buy them at a garage, buy them anywhere, cheap as chips. The pin is always positive, the outers are always negative. Okay, and of course they're 12 volts, which is exactly what the solar panel charge controller is punching out. So find some way of connecting yours, the other end of your wire, to the sides. It doesn't matter which one you go to. Okay, and some way of connecting the 12 volt positive cable that you've got coming out of the charge controller onto the pin there. And of course what you can then do, same scenario, get your standard mobile phone cable, plug it into your mobile phone, job's a good one, it's now charging perfectly. Don't forget, if there's not enough power coming out the solar charge controller, we can double up the panels, as I showed you. You could triple, quadruple. Not all panels look the same. Here's a smaller, lower panel, lower charged one, lower powered solar panel. They're all the same. Two wires out of them. Okay. Many different types. As far as you're concerned, the larger the surface area, the better off it's going to be. Now, it's finding something to line that up against to give you an idea really of the size of it. Here's a small size spirit level to give you an idea. Okay, now there'll be purists amongst you, so what basically we could do when we're sorting all our wires out, we can put heat shrink around any connectors that we've got. Okay, we can even get our soldering iron and solder the ends of the cables that we're about to put into the charge controller. I'm showing you something that will get you off the ground. It is perfectly safe and it'll work. Now,